You know what's interesting? Gen X isn't fighting for attention. They're too busy living their lives. While every other generation is curating their existence online, Gen X is quietly running the world, and nobody's talking about it. Let me show you why Gen X might be the most psychologically interesting generation alive. Here's the paradox. Gen X was raised by parents who were mostly absent. Latchkey kids, coming home to an empty house, no one checking in, no one asking how your day was. Psychologically, this sounds like neglect, but it created something unexpected. Independence became their default setting. They learned self-sufficiency before they learned to ask for help. That's not damage, that's a superpower in disguise. Think about it. Every generation after them needs external validation. They need likes, comments, reassurance. Gen X? They're comfortable with their own company. They can sit in silence without panicking. They can make decisions without a committee. That's rare. That's psychological gold. But here's where it gets darker. That same independence created a wound. Gen X learned early that needing help was weakness, so they became master suppequizers, masters at pushing feelings down, soldiering on, asking for nothing. Therapists call this emotional avoidance, but it allowed them to survive things that would break other generations.
The interesting part? Gen X didn't just survive, they thrived in chaos. The economy collapsed when they entered the job market, twice. They watched their parents' loyalty mean nothing as companies downsized. So Gen X stopped expecting stability. They stopped expecting the system to take care of them. Instead, they became adaptable, flexible, resilient in a way that younger generations are still learning. Psychology reveals something fascinating about Gen X. They have what researchers call cognitive flexibility, the ability to shift thinking, change perspective, problem solve on the fly. Why? Because they had to. They grew up in a world that demanded it. No GPS, no cell phones, no Google. You had to figure it out. You had to adapt. And adaptation rewires your brain. Here's what's wild. Gen X is the first generation that remembers life before the internet and mastered the internet. Psychologically, this matters. They're not addicted to technology because they know what life without it feels like. They're not slaves to their phones because they remember freedom. They carry both worlds inside them. That's balance, that's perspective, that's power. But the cost was real. Gen X carries something psychologists call quiet anxiety. It's not loud, it's not performed. It's the low hum of someone who learned early that the world wasn't safe, so you'd better be prepared. That's why so many Gen X people are prepared for everything, why they keep emergency funds, why they don't panic. It's not paranoia, it's earned wisdom.
Here's the thing nobody talks about. Gen X is aging differently than any generation before them. They're not having a midlife crisis because they never stopped working. They're not seeking validation because they never needed it. They're not falling apart because they learned to hold themselves together decades ago. Psychologically, they're the most stable generation we have. And that's the real paradox. Gen X is invisible precisely because they're functional. They don't demand attention. They don't need rescue. They're not fighting for recognition. They're just quietly excellent at existing, at surviving, at adapting, at moving forward without complaining. So here's what I want you to understand. Gen X wasn't forgotten. They're just not loud about being remarkable. Their psychology is built on something rare today, the ability to be fine without needing everyone to know about it. If you're Gen X, you're not broken, you're not cold, you're not emotionally unavailable. You're just someone who learned early to survive alone, and that made you unbreakable.
Does this resonate? Tell me in the comments what you think Gen X gets wrong about themselves. And if you want more psychology breakdowns like this, subscribe. We're just getting started.